Commander Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of Orbital Station Delta, watching Earth's gleaming surface below. 20 years of service in the Global Defense Force hadn't prepared her for this moment. The message that arrived 12 hours ago had changed everything. "Commander," Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice carried across the command center. "The quantum sensors are confirming it. The object is accelerating toward the Sol system." Chen turned from the viewport, her face reflecting in the holographic displays surrounding her station. The object, if they could call it that, was bigger than anything humanity had ever encountered. 3 times the size of Earth's moon and moving in ways that defied natural physics. "Show me the latest data," she ordered, moving to the central command table. The holographic display sparked to life, showing a massive shape that seemed to devour light itself. Even the stars behind it appeared distorted, as if space itself was being warped. "It's not just one entity," Rodriguez explained, his fingers dancing across the controls. "It's billions of smaller objects moving in perfect synchronization. Like a swarm." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. This was exactly what the preservation protocol had warned about. For over a century, humanity had been preparing for this moment, though few knew the true reason why. The quantum calm crackled to life. "Commander Chen, this is Council Command. You are hereby authorized to initiate Protocol Omega. Authentication Code, Terra 79 Phoenix." Chen exchanged glances with her senior staff. They had all trained for this, but training was one thing. Reality was another. "Acknowledge Protocol Omega," she responded, pressing her palm against the biometric scanner. Beginning initialization sequence. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in facilities hidden from the world, massive doors began to open. In the Himalayan mountains, ancient bunkers carved into the rock stirred to life. Across the globe, installations that had been preparing in secret for generations activated their systems. "Ma'am," Captain Drake called from his station, "we're receiving a transmission. It's not from Earth." The command center fell silent as a hologram materialized in the center of the room. The being that appeared was tall, with crystalline features and eyes that seemed to hold galaxies within them. "People of Earth," the being spoke, its voice translated in real time by their systems. "I am High Admiral Zextal of the Galactic Collective. We have broken our oath of silence because your world faces annihilation. The entity approaching your system is known as the Harvest. It has consumed 12 civilizations in the past solar cycle alone." Chen stepped forward. "You know about this threat? Why haven't you stopped it?" The alien's expression shifted to what might have been sorrow. "We have tried. The Harvest adapts to every weapon we use against it. It consumes our energy weapons, renders our shields useless. Our most advanced technology means nothing to it. Then why come to us?" Rodriguez asked. "Earth isn't even part of your collective." "Because," Zextal replied, "you are different. Your isolation was not an accident. We have watched your development for centuries, watched as you continued to advance along paths we long abandoned. While the galaxy embraced pure energy weapons and quantum shields, your people kept developing what we considered primitive technology. Projectile weapons. Chemical propulsion. Nuclear devices." Chen's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "The preservation protocol. You're the ones who gave it to our ancestors." "Yes. We knew the Harvest would eventually reach this sector. We needed a civilization that would develop differently. Your people never abandoned the old ways of warfare. You refined them, improved them, alongside your other advances. You may be our only hope." The quantum sensors blared an alert. The Harvest had crossed Jupiter's orbit, its speed increasing. "High Admiral," Chen said, straightening her uniform. "I believe it's time we showed you what humanity has been preparing for all these years." She turned to her crew. "Initialize the Phoenix fleet. All ships, all weapons. It's time to wake the giants." Across Earth, massive shapes began to rise. From the oceans, mountains, and hidden bases, humanity's secret armada emerged. Ships that combined centuries of human warfare knowledge with reversed-engineered alien technology. Vessels armed with both rail guns and plasma cannons, nuclear warheads and quantum torpedoes. The largest of them all, the TSS Prometheus, rose from its underwater berth in the Mariana Trench, its 2-kilometer length dwarfing everything around it. Humanity had spent generations building this fleet, preparing for a threat they didn't fully understand but knew would come. As Chen watched the ships take position, she couldn't help but smile at Zextal's expression of shock. "You isolated us because you feared what we might become," she said. "Now you'll see exactly what humanity can do when we have a purpose." The harvest loomed closer, its swarm darkening the space behind Mars. But humanity was ready. They had never stopped preparing, never stopped improving the art of warfare. While the galaxy had sought peace through technological advancement, Earth had prepared for war. And war was coming. The bridge of the TSS Prometheus hummed with tension as Commander Chen took her position in the command chair. Through the panoramic viewport, she watched as Earth's hidden fleet assembled, over 300 ships that had never seen the light of day until now. "High Admiral Zextal's shuttle is docking in Bay 3, Rodriguez reported from his station. "And Commander, you need to see these scans of the harvest." The holographic display sprang to life, showing detailed analysis of the approaching swarm. What initially appeared as a chaotic mass of particles now revealed intricate patterns, like a living hurricane of nanomachines. "It's beautiful," Lieutenant Drake whispered, in a terrifying way. "Beautiful things are often deadly," Chen replied as Zextal entered the bridge, accompanied by 2 other alien representatives. The crystalline being's eyes widened at the sight of the ship's interior. "Impossible," one of Zextal's companions breathed. "Your technology, it's a fusion of both primitive and advanced systems." Chen nodded to the weapons station, where Tactical Officer Maya Patel was running diagnostics. Conventional railguns alongside plasma accelerators. Nuclear warheads with quantum detonators. "We took everything we learned from studying your crashed ships and combined it with our own path of development." "But the power requirements alone." Zextal started. "Fusion reactors," Chen interrupted. "Not the clean quantum cores your people use. Messy, primitive fusion reactors shielded by layers of lead and ceramic. Not elegant, but impossible for the harvest to disable." The tactical display suddenly flashed red. The harvest had crossed Mars' orbit, its speed increasing dramatically. As they watched, it consumed one of Mars' small moons, breaking it down into raw materials in seconds. "Show them," Chen ordered. Patel nodded and brought up the combat simulation. The harvest adapts to energy weapons by analyzing their frequency and developing countermeasures. "But physical projectiles?" She smiled. "You can't adapt to a tungsten rod moving at relativistic speeds. The laws of physics won't allow it." "We've been running simulations for decades," Rodriguez added. "Every engagement, every battle in human history. We've adapted ancient naval tactics for space warfare. The harvest may be able to learn, but it's about to face something it's never encountered, human ingenuity combined with 3,000 years of warfare experience." Zextal moved closer to the tactical display, studying the human battle plans. "These formations, they're unlike anything we've developed." "They should be," Chen replied. "They're based on ancient Earth naval battles. You see, while your civilizations were advancing beyond the need for military tactics, we were preserving them, refining them, preparing for the day we'd need them again." A new alert sounded. The harvest had detected their fleet and was altering course, heading directly for Earth. "All ships, battle stations," Chen ordered. "Zextal, I suggest your people fall back to a safe distance. What you're about to see might disturb you." The alien admiral hesitated. "Commander Chen, there's something you should know. The harvest, It's not just a natural phenomenon. It's a weapon, created eons ago by a civilization that sought to control the galaxy. A civilization that vanished, leaving behind this legacy of destruction. Chen's expression hardened. You knew this all along. We discovered the truth too late. Our response was to advance our technology, to try to overcome it with pure energy and quantum mechanics. We were wrong. In our rush to advance beyond warfare, we forgot its most fundamental lessons. And what lessons are those? Patel asked. That victory often comes not from having the most advanced weapons, but from knowing how to use the ones you have. That sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones. Chen turned to her crew. Initialize the Chimera Protocol. All ships, prepare to execute Battle Plan Thor. Across the fleet, weapon systems charged to life. Rail guns extended from armored housings, missile tubes opened, and nuclear cores began their warm-up sequence. The ships moved into formation, a modified version of an ancient Greek phalanx, adapted for three-dimensional space warfare. You preserved our technology, Zextal observed, hoping we would create something that could defeat the Harvest. Instead, we may have preserved the only civilization capable of saving us all. The Harvest loomed closer, its swarm now visible to the naked eye, a dark mass that seemed to consume the very starlight around it. But humanity was ready. They had spent generations preparing for this moment, maintaining the knowledge that the rest of the galaxy had discarded as obsolete. As Chen watched the enemy approach, she remembered her grandfather's words, "The future may belong to the stars, but the past has much to teach us about surviving them." The battle for Earth, and perhaps the galaxy itself, was about to begin. And humanity would fight it not just with advanced technology, but with the accumulated wisdom of countless generations of warriors who had come before. All ships, Chen commanded, her voice steady. Weapons free. Show them how Earth fights. The void between Mars and Earth erupted in a display of destructive power unprecedented in human history. The Phoenix fleet's first volley launched thousands of tungsten rods accelerated to near-relativistic speeds, creating a wall of kinetic energy that slammed into the Harvest's leading edge. Multiple impacts confirmed, Patel reported, her fingers dancing across the tactical display. The swarm is fragmenting. Through the Prometheus's viewport, Chen watched as sections of the dark mass scattered like mercury droplets in zero gravity. But her satisfaction was short-lived. The separated portions quickly reformed, though noticeably smaller than before. Interesting, Zextal observed. Physical damage forces it to sacrifice mass to maintain cohesion. Your weapons aren't just damaging it, they're making it burn resources. Fleet command to all ships, Chen broadcast. Execute Maneuver Delta 7. Activate the Hydra Protocol. The Phoenix fleet split into smaller battle groups, each adopting formation around designated flagship vessels. It was a tactic borrowed from ancient Roman naval warfare, adapted for three-dimensional space combat. As the ships moved, they deployed their secret weapon, clouds of microscopic iron particles magnetized to specific frequencies. What are you doing? Zextal asked, watching as the metallic clouds spread between the ships. Creating a battlefield that favors us, Rodriguez explained. The Harvest adapts to energy weapons by analyzing and replicating their frequencies. But it's about to face something far more primitive, and far more difficult to counter. The Harvest surged forward, its swarm splitting into tendrils that reached for the nearest ships. But as it contacted the iron particle clouds, something unexpected happened. The nanomachines began to falter, their precise movements disrupted by the magnetic fields. Now, Chen ordered. All ships, activate electromagnetic pulses. The battlefield lit up as hundreds of EMP devices detonated simultaneously. The iron particles amplified and carried the pulses, creating a cascade effect through the Harvest swarm. Entire sections of the entity froze, their nanomachines temporarily paralyzed. Launch nuclear payloads, Chen commanded. Target the disrupted sectors. Missiles streaked across space, their warheads modified with quantum detonators. Where they struck, the combination of nuclear fusion and quantum manipulation created tears in spacetime itself. Portions of the harvest were not just destroyed, they were removed from existence. But the entity was far from defeated. The surviving sections of the swarm began to adapt, developing countermeasures to the magnetic disruption. It was learning, evolving, just as humanity had predicted it would. All ships, fall back to secondary positions, Chen ordered. Initiate battle plan Aegis. As the fleet regrouped, the Prometheus's sensors detected a change in the harvest's behavior. The swarm was no longer just adapting, it was reorganizing itself into distinct geometric patterns. "Commander," Drake called out, his voice tense. "The swarm, it's forming into structures. They look like ships." The tactical display confirmed it. The harvest was recreating vessel designs it had consumed from previous civilizations, but with a twisted efficiency that made them far deadlier than their original forms. "This is how it destroyed our defense fleets," Zextal revealed. "It learns, copies, and improves upon everything it encounters. Your weapons have heard it, yes, but now it will try to turn your own tactics against you." Chen smiled grimly. "That's exactly what we were counting on." She turned to her crew. "Initialize Project Chimera. All ships, prepare for close-quarters combat." The Prometheus's hull began to transform. Panels shifted, revealing layers of armor that no other civilization had thought to combine, ablative plates over metamaterials, backed by layers of primitive titanium and carbon composites. The ship's silhouette changed, becoming more angular, more predatory. "You see, High Admiral," Chen explained as Zextal watched in amazement, "we didn't just preserve old weapons and tactics. We studied every battle ever fought on Earth, from ancient naval engagements to modern warfare. We learned that victory often comes not from having superior technology, but from using what you have in ways your enemy doesn't expect." The transformed Phoenix fleet moved into new formations, patterns that seemed chaotic but held deadly purpose. They were recreating the naval battles of Earth's past, but with a devastating twist, three-dimensional space warfare combined with mankind's accumulated knowledge of combat psychology. "The harvest copies what it sees," Rodriguez added. "But it can't copy what it doesn't understand. And it definitely doesn't understand human improvisation." As if to prove his point, the fleet began executing maneuvers that seemed to defy traditional space combat logic. Ships moved in ways that mimicked the wind-powered vessels of Earth's age of sail, using the magnetic fields they had created as currents to outmaneuver their opponent. The battle was entering a new phase, and humanity was about to demonstrate why their preservation of primitive warfare knowledge had been so vital. The galaxy was about to witness something it had forgotten ages ago, the art of war, reborn among the stars. The battle had been raging for 6 hours, and the void between Earth and Mars had become a graveyard of crystallized metal and frozen nanomachines. The Phoenix fleet had bloodied the harvest, but at a terrible cost, 27 ships lost, their crews sacrificing themselves to prove which human weapons and tactics worked best against the enemy. "Status report," Chen demanded, gripping her command chair as the Prometheus shuddered from another near miss. "The harvest has adapted to our magnetic disruption fields," Patel reported, her voice tight with exhaustion. "It's also developed some kind of countermeasure against our railgun velocities. Impact effectiveness down 60%. Chen watched as the tactical display showed the harvest's transformed ships moving with increasing coordination. They were no longer just copying human formations, they were improving upon them. "They're using our own tactics against us," Rodriguez observed, "but with perfect mathematical precision that no human fleet could match." "Perfect," Chen whispered, a slight smile forming on her lips. "That's exactly their weakness." Zextal turned from where he had been studying the battle data. "Weakness? They're executing your strategies flawlessly. Too flawlessly." Chen stood, moving to the tactical display. Throughout human history, our greatest military leaders understood something crucial: perfection is predictable. And predictable is vulnerable. She keyed in a series of commands, bringing up historical battle footage. Look at these ancient naval engagements. The victories didn't always go to the larger or more advanced fleet. They went to commanders who could create confusion, who could turn chaos into opportunity. Understanding dawned in Rodriguez's eyes. "You're thinking of Admiral E. And Salamis," Chen nodded. "Thermopylae. The Battle of Red Cliffs." Throughout history, humanity's greatest victories came when we used the environment itself as a weapon. She turned to Zextal. "Your people abandoned warfare in favor of technological advancement. But in doing so, you forgot that war isn't just about weapons, it's about deception, psychology, and turning your enemy's strength into a weakness." The tactical display suddenly flashed red. The Harvest's ships had formed into a perfect geometric pattern, preparing for what appeared to be a final, overwhelming assault. "They've fully analyzed our combat algorithms," Drake reported. "They're predicting our every move before we make it." "Good." Chen's smile grew wider. "All ships, initiate Operation Chaos. Authorization code, Thermopylae." Across the Phoenix fleet, crews began implementing a strategy that would have seemed insane to any other spacefaring civilization. Ships cut power to their advanced targeting systems, their quantum computers, everything that made their movements predictable by modern standards. "What are you doing?" Zextal asked, alarmed. "Your ships are going dark." "We're going old school," Patel grinned, switching her weapons console to manual control. "Every ship, every gun, every targeting solution, all controlled by human intuition and instinct rather than computers." The Phoenix fleet's formation dissolved into what appeared to be random movement. Ships began firing at seemingly arbitrary angles, their shots scattered and imprecise by modern standards. But there was a method to the madness. "Humans are inherently unpredictable," Chen explained as the Harvest's perfect formation began to show signs of confusion. "Our decisions aren't always logical. We act on hunches, instincts, gut feelings, things that can't be quantified or predicted by even the most advanced AI." The Harvest's swarm ships struggled to adapt to the apparent chaos of human manual combat. Their perfect formations became disrupted as they tried to predict movement patterns that had no mathematical logic behind them. "Now," Chen ordered, Phase 2. "All ships, execute random jump trajectories. Manual calculations only." It was something that would have been considered suicidal by modern space warfare standards, ships performing faster-than-light jumps calculated by human pilots rather than computers. The risk of collision or miscalculation was enormous. But it worked. The battlefield became a storm of appearing and disappearing ships, each moving according to their captain's instincts rather than tactical algorithms. The Harvest swarm, designed to adapt to patterns and logic, found itself unable to counter actions that defied mathematical prediction. "I don't believe it," Zextal whispered as sections of the Harvest's fleet began to fall into disarray. "You're defeating one of the most advanced technological entities in the galaxy by ignoring technology." "Not ignoring it," Chen corrected, watching as her fleet executed maneuvers that would have given any tactical computer a nervous breakdown. "We're using technology as a tool rather than a crutch. This is how humanity has always fought, combining the precision of our machines with the unpredictability of the human spirit." The battle was far from over, but for the first time, the Harvest seemed genuinely vulnerable. It had adapted to fight against logical, predictable opponents. But now it faced something it had never encountered in all its eons of existence, the beautiful chaos of human warfare. As Chen watched her fleet dance through space like ancient ships catching the winds of fate, she remembered something her mother, an ancient history professor, once told her: the most powerful weapon humanity ever created wasn't the bomb or the gun. It was our ability to surprise ourselves. The final phase of the battle was about to begin, and humanity's greatest strength, their glorious unpredictability, would determine the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. The space around Earth had become a dance of chaos and light. The Phoenix fleet's unconventional tactics had thrown the harvest into disarray, but the ancient entity wasn't finished. As Chen watched from the Prometheus's bridge, the swarm began to coalesce into something new, a single massive structure that dwarfed even their largest ships. Energy readings off the scale, Rodriguez reported, his voice hollow with awe. It's combining all its remaining mass into one form. The tactical display showed what looked like a massive crystalline lattice, its surface rippling with captured energies from countless civilizations. It was beautiful, terrifying, and unlike anything humanity had ever faced. "This is its true form," Zextal whispered. "The form it took when it destroyed the precursor civilization that created it. We've never seen it survive long enough to reach this stage." The massive entity pulsed, sending out waves of energy that disabled the systems of 3 Phoenix ships instantly. Their crews switched to manual backups, but it was clear that the Harvest had realized it needed to end this battle quickly. "Commander," Patel called out, "structural analysis suggests it's creating some kind of quantum cascade device. If it detonates, it'll tear apart the fabric of spacetime itself. Earth will be..." "No," Chen interrupted, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Look at the energy patterns. It's not just building a weapon. It's desperate." She turned to her crew, her expression intense. "Everything the Harvest has done has been about adaptation and consumption. But right now, it's burning through its reserved mass at an astronomical rate. We've forced it to expose itself. Because it can't predict us," Rodriguez realized. "It's burning energy trying to calculate every possible human decision, every irrational choice we might make." Chen nodded, a plan forming in her mind. "All ships, this is Commander Chen. Prepare to execute final protocol, humanity's gambit." The crew exchanged glances. They had trained for this, but never truly expected to use it. It was possibly the most insane military strategy ever conceived. "You can't be serious," Zextal protested. "The energy discharge alone would be catastrophic," Chen agreed. "Unless you have multiple vectors of seemingly random chaos all converging at exactly the right moment." She turned to her crew. "Everyone knows their part. Trust your instincts. Trust your training. Most importantly, trust in human unpredictability." Across the fleet, ships began moving into what appeared to be random positions. Some powered down completely, drifting like dead metal in space. Others began erratic maneuvers that made no tactical sense. "We're going to give the Harvest exactly what it wants," Chen explained. "Let it think it's finally figured out the pattern, the logic behind human behavior." The massive crystalline entity seemed to pause, its surface rippling as it tried to analyze the fleet's apparently desperate actions. "Exactly as planned. All ships," Chen commanded, her voice steady. "Execute your randomized jump sequences, now." What followed would be studied in military academies for centuries to come. Hundreds of ships performed faster-than-light jumps simultaneously, each following paths calculated by human intuition rather than computers. The sheer mathematical impossibility of coordinating such chaos overwhelmed the Harvest's prediction matrices. But there was a pattern hidden in the chaos, one that only made sense to the human mind. As the ships reappeared, they created a complex web of gravitational distortions. Each jump had been carefully calculated to contribute to a larger effect, one that the Harvest couldn't possibly predict because it defied conventional logic. "All ships, deploy gravitational anchors," Chen ordered. "Create the net." The gravitational distortions combined, forming a cascade effect that began to tear at the very fabric of space around the Harvest. The entity tried to adapt, tried to calculate an escape route, but there were too many variables, too many irrational human decisions to process. "Final phase," Chen announced. "All ships, deploy your payload." From every surviving vessel of the Phoenix fleet came humanity's final surprise, missiles carrying warheads unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. They contained no explosives, no energy weapons. Instead, they carried something far more primitive and far more devastating, engineered black holes, held in stasis by magnetic fields. The Harvest, trapped in the gravitational web created by hundreds of randomized jump points, could only watch as the warheads detonated. The microsingularities merged, creating a gravitational force that not even the ancient entity could resist. The ultimate expression of human warfare, Chen said softly as the Harvest began to collapse in on itself. Using the fundamental forces of nature itself as a weapon. The massive crystalline structure twisted, its perfect geometry warping as it was drawn inexorably toward the artificial event horizon. In its final moments, it attempted one last adaptation, trying to understand and copy the inexplicable pattern of human strategy. But there was no pattern to copy, no logic to understand. Just the beautiful chaos of human intuition combined with scientific precision. As the last traces of the Harvest disappeared into the contained singularity, Zextal turned to Chen. "Your people," he said slowly, "you didn't just preserve old weapons and tactics. You preserved something far more precious, the art of thinking in ways that transcend pure logic." Chen nodded, watching as her fleet regrouped around Earth. "We never forgot that the strongest defense isn't an impenetrable shield or the most powerful weapon. It's the ability to do the unexpected, to combine the primitive with the advanced, to find patterns in chaos and chaos in patterns." The battle was over, but its implications would reshape the galaxy. Humanity had proved that true strength lay not in abandoning the past for the future, but in finding ways to combine both. Their primitive preservation of warfare knowledge had saved not just Earth, but all of civilization. As the Phoenix fleet returned home, Chen reflected that perhaps this had been humanity's destiny all along, not to follow the path of pure technological advancement, but to remember that sometimes the old ways, combined with the new, created something greater than either could be alone. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if acknowledging that humanity had earned its place among them not despite their perceived primitiveness, but because of their unique ability to blend the past with the future, logic with instinct, and order with chaos. This was humanity's gift to the galaxy, a reminder that true advancement comes not from abandoning the past, but from learning to carry its wisdom forward into the future.